one championship has been determined, but one is still up for grabs in the Season 6 finale. Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 23 Driver Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Unfortunately, mistakes in China costed us a chance to win a championship here in our 6th attempt at getting the world title. But we come into this race with Red Bull having a 19-point advantage over the McLaren Toyota. So we're looking to at least, miss the world championship in the driver's side of things, but win the constructors championship as a team here with Felipe Drugovich alongside us. Now, it's been a heck of a season, a career high, but still coming up short of a title. 7 wins on the season, but the guy that won the championship last episode, Aiden Jackson, 7 wins for him this season as well, which is one heck of a feat. But obviously the difference was we had 3 mechanical failures throughout the season, while Jackson had 0. And unfortunately that made the difference, and we had one really strong ending to the season. We came back and we put the pressure on Jackson, but it was just a strategy failure there in the last episode that really hurt us now. So we come into this weekend and we will be taking a grid penalty here on this season finale in Brazil as well. We have 3 or 4 parts that I actually have to change, so we will be starting a little ways down the grid order. We're still going to be going for pole position, though. I want to at least try and cap off the season with a pole. Some storylines as well coming into this weekend. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, the pair of them walking away from Formula 1 at the end of the season. Hamilton walking away from racing in general, while Verstappen is putting his focus into other disciplines of racing. Rumor has it he'll be starting his own team to race in both WEC next season as well as on the IMSA side as we roll through into the final qualifying session of the season. Weather is not going to play a role this weekend, a completely dry weekend here. And as you guys know, Brazil, a very strong racetrack for us. The only difference today is we're going to be starting probably further down the order than we're used to, so that's going to be a challenge. Q1, only P12, but I really wasn't putting in everything I had. Sonoda, Gasly, Lawson, Vesti, and Joe all out here in Q1. Q2, good pace, but I make a mistake on my opening lap right here. You can see a little bit of a tail whip, but we're okay. We would just regroup and go for a quicker second lap here. And this second lap would be a lot quicker than I actually anticipated. It's going to put us top of the board in Q2, so very happy with that. But Yuri Vips, Calimere doing for the Conesport team, they're out, as well as Sato and Ocon for the BMW there. As you guys know, next season BMW expanding. We're seeing a lot of teams kind of expand into twos this season going in to next season, and there's some things coming next season that I think you guys are going to really enjoy that I've kind of just kept silent that we're going to go over in the next episode for the off season here. As you guys know, the big one, we will be going to V10 engines next season. That's going to be an exciting one for the whole grid with this regulation change. That's really probably not going to make a huge difference in terms of car performance, but we'll have to wait and see. P2 is where we end up in our first attempt in Q3, making a second lap immediately. We would lose a bit of time, but we would find it as the lap went on. The 2 Ferraris come back on track for one final run apiece for Hamilton and Verstappen. What can they do in their final qualifying attempts ever in Formula 1 behind the wheel? Now Ferrari with a radical change coming next season with Albon, and yet to be known who's going to be in that second ride. But we come to the line and go top of the board, pole position over Jackson with a 10th.5 gain, but is it enough? Verstappen to the line, goes pole position. Lewis Hamilton, what can Hamilton do coming to the line now? And he is going to go P3. He splits Jackson and I as 2 Ferraris in their final ever races go into the top 3. Maybe a storybook ending on the cards for one of those drivers. Charles Leclerc for Trackhouse at the bottom there in Q3. Rumor has it he might be on his way out of Trackhouse at the end of this season. Let's head to the grid.
Formula 1 returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and just 4 years later, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. That gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Aiden Jackson alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Drugovich, Albon, Leclerc, Yuri Vips, Mayer, Doohan, Hamilton, Sato, Ocon, Sonoda, Gasly, Golden Boy, Liam Lawson, Joe, and Frederick Vesti. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And with me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
Ready to roll here in Brazil. We're playing it safe in the fight for the constructors and just going with the baseline softs to mediums as we get ready to take the lights out for the final time in Season 6.
The formation lap gets underway here in Brazil. Some memorable moments in history have come from this very circuit. Will we be treated to another today? Well, let's find out.
Only 3 drivers on mediums, and 2 of them are the McLarens. Jackson and Albon, their 2nd and 7th. Hamilton with a grid penalty like myself. He will start down in P12 while we're down in P17 as we're ready to roll.
We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
All right, team, it's a shame we didn't win last week, and we're not going to win a driver's title, but full focus today on the constructors.
Yep, thank you for this season, mate. Let's end it at least with 1 title.
It's hard to believe. After today, we'll have only 1 season left of this career mode before F1 24, which I'm very excited for because there's so many plans I've been holding back from putting into this game, going into the next game, which I think you guys are really going to enjoy. Nonetheless, 36 laps here in Brazil, 5 red lights to final time this season. We're racing here in Brazil, Sao Paulo now. It's a good start for myself, a poor start from Hamilton in his final start in Formula 1. I play it cautious behind him. Verstappen leads into turn 1 over Piastri as well. Lando Norris getting the elbows out, not enough 3 wide. In the background is a poor start for Aiden Jackson, an abysmal start. He started 2nd, Albon started 7th, and Albon's now ahead of Jackson after the first set of corners there. Albon into 4th, Jackson fighting for 5th alongside George Russell there, and as well questions about George Russell and Lando Norris both, as we're going to find out the roster, of course, next episode. Usually we have the roster pretty well finalized by this point of the season in a career mode, but going into the final season I kind of wanted to make you guys guess a little bit, and as well have been working behind the scenes to try and make some creative things happen, which has kind of stalled things out into the off season just to make sure they work, and hopefully they do. I'm still not 100% sure, but roster changes, team changes, new liveries, of course. Red Bull is a completely revolutionized team next season. Going to the Audi power is going to look completely different. As well, F1 teams and F1 and Bridgestone have been working closely together. We're trying to increase the tire wear going into next season to create more strategy, which of course has been something that lacks in real life F1 right now, and of course in the game it's represented the same, unfortunately. So we're working at that because we want to have races where 2 pit stops are kind of the minimum, basically. As you can see myself trying to get the elbows out here, going after it. Brazil, it's the same song, different verse kind of every year we come here. We get stronger and stronger as the race goes on, which makes things really intense because we kind of start out slow and kind of builds the pressure a little bit, and then as the race goes on I just get faster and faster and faster, and we just work our way forward, which is a really exciting kind of race to record for myself here. And lap 5 of 36 at this point here, and you can see we're all over the back of Yuri Vips, another driver rumored to be going to Ferrari. It's between Vips and Calimere at this point on who gets the Ferrari seat. I think no matter what happens, Calimere will still not be at Connorsport next season, although they have said if she doesn't get the Ferrari ride, they will be open to having her still on the team. As we get there in front of Yuri Vips, kind of pushed him wide, not exactly what I wanted to do there, but I just overshot the corner. We get through nonetheless, and now we're in between the Connorsport drivers of Mayer as well as Jack Doohan here as we continue our way forward. Our teammate Drugovich right now runs P8. We're right to the back of Calimere right now, not really in a position where I felt like I could just send one up the inside right there. So we stay put for now behind that Connor Sport McLaren. Max Verstappen continues to lead the way, but you see it's a whole train of cars behind him, but no one quite seems to be able to pass him right now here, as we're going to go for a move on Calimere here on the DRS straight. Lap 8 down towards turn number 4, and we'll get the job done into P9. 2.4 seconds to my teammate Felipe Drugovich at this point now, but the battle's up front. They were starting to heat up as well. Verstappen under lots of pressure. Piastri's right there with them. The two McLaren Toyotas, I'm expecting them to get a little bit faster over the next few laps as they're on the mediums. The softs starting to fade a little bit. And now we'll get a look at the battles starting to heat up front. Piastri on that DRS straight looking for a move in the background. Albon as well going for a move on Norris. These two wheel to wheel. Verstappen, his final ever race in Formula 1. I don't think he's going to make it easy for Piastri. Oscar Piastri has yet to win a race in this career mode. He gets clear of Verstappen. And if you remember, Piastri was on track to win way back in the day at the Lateral circuit in Qatar, but we beat him in a photo finish. Still haven't forgotten that one. And we kind of robbed him of his first win there in the process, which was unfortunate. But Piastri, it's basically a given that he will not return to Trackhouse next season. There is a world where Trackhouse has a completely new driver lineup next season, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Verstappen continues to fade. Albon now to second. Verstappen down to third. He's going to need to get something creative here as he now continues to drop down the order. They need to do something with that strategy now to kind of give him a last hurrah, you could kind of say, here in Formula 1. Hamilton, his final race not going to plan, outside of the top 10 right now. Very unfortunate to see as we continue on. Lap 15 at this point, and we're getting ready for a pit stop at the end of lap 16, and we're closing in slowly but surely on Drugovich. We're starting to hit that point where my car is just getting a little bit faster. We're slowly gaining on not only Drugovich, but the cars in front of him as well. But Verstappen, lap 15 coming to 16, he's going to be the first one of anybody. This could be a big call in the right direction for that team. He will box now for a set of mediums, and he'll have the freedom of a whole lap at least to try and make up as much time as he can. And right now, Albon is actually just taking the lead, and we know that him and Jackson are on medium, so they will be going a bit long here compared to everybody else. And as well, they're trying to do something creative to be able to win this Constructors' Championship at this point. So 19 points behind. Drugovich and myself 7th and 8th right now. I'm not focusing too much on the point situation right now. I'm just trying to run my race and just let things happen. We come into the pits here at the end of lap 16, and we're going to come in and get those softs off and throw on a brand new set of medium compound tires. Easy pit stop here, no mistakes. We'll get back rolling here. Those Bridgestones go on, and we'll get ready to roll for now. What's going to be a really important part here, this warm-up lap. Get as much pace as we can in the tire, maybe have an opportunity to be able to get out in front of our teammate of Felipe Drugovich. That would be pretty nice as well. We had a bit of a tussle with him last episode in China. If we could have gotten past our teammate of Drugovich maybe one lap earlier, we might have won the race and kept the championship battle alive going into this race right here. Unfortunately, of course, it wasn't meant to be. As we continue on now, Drugovich exiting the pits on at lap 18. We're going to be very close to him on the exit of this turn. Here we go down the DRS straight, and he's right there, and he's going to get ahead of me. So Drugovich stays ahead, but he's going to be on, of course, cold rubber. So we're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the back of our Brazilian teammate who got his first win of his career right here last season. Now 2 wins to his name. We lunge one up the inside there. We're not going to give him a lot of room to work with either. We'll take the position from our teammate there, Felipe Drugovich, now, as we hope next season we maybe see a little bit more pace out of Drugovich. He's had consistency, but we want to see him winning more. We've won 7 races. He's only won 1 race, so we want to see a bit more next season. But we come through to cross the stripe lap 20 at this point. The 2 McLarens, Albon, Jackson out in front, but Drugovich has a lot of pace now that his tires have gotten warmed up, and we're starting to think about the constructor situation. He's faster than me, so we're going to let him go through for now. If we're faster than him later, of course, we're not going to hesitate to go back past our teammate here in Brazil. So we're going to let him just kind of lead the train at this point in time, and we'll wait and see what happens. Albon's going to be the first one to pit between the 2 McLarens, lap 22 at this point. He'll take off the mediums, and no, they're not going to hards, they're going to softs. So that kind of throws a bit of a curveball at us here. We were thinking they were going to go to the hard tire. They are going to have extreme pace compared to everybody here because they're on significantly fresh rubber and, of course, a faster compound tire. Albon would be all over me by the end of this lap. Jackson now pitting Verstappen to the lead. Look at the advantage he was able to gain by pitting earlier than everybody. He has a very comfortable lead right now, and that might have been a rare Ferrari good strategy moment. Albon passes us there. I had nothing for him. He blew the doors off of my doorless car. Jackson's going to exit out quite a bit behind us as actually exceed track limits. 4 seconds to Aiden Jackson. We do not have to beat the McLarens to win the Constructors' Championship, so them passing us is not a bad thing, but it's the pace that they have that's concerning, because we know that they might have the pace to drive through other cars as well. Albon passes Dragovic, who couldn't defend either, down to P7 and 8 again as we come towards the final 10 laps of this Grand Prix, and Jackson had already run myself and Dragovic down. We have basically a dead even pace right now to Dragovic, and Jackson is all over the back of us. Verstappen continues to lead. It's Charles Leclerc who's now up in the second, and he is reeling in Verstappen as we come through to 10 laps to go. I clipped the grass with the rear right tire there, and we have a bit of a slide. We save it, but now that leaves us vulnerable to Aiden Jackson. We're probably going to be defenseless right here as we head down this DRS straight. DRS open, but it's not going to matter. The McLaren gets to our inside and absolutely blows by. As 10 laps to go, we're going to go through the grid.
It all comes down to this: the final 10 laps of the season. Max Verstappen is in control, but Leclerc is closing the gap. McLaren and Red Bull fight for the Constructors' title. But as it stands right now, Red Bull is still in control.
Going back to Leclerc for a moment, it's sounding likely that he will be alongside Aiden Jackson next year at McLaren. Callie Mayer will not be with Ferrari, if my sources are correct, and instead she could very well be headed to Trackhouse next year.
I will chime in and say I think Martin's sources are correct. Another bit of possible news: Red Bull and Williams have been in talks to possibly turn Williams into a Red Bull sister team as they attempt to do what other teams have done recently. McLaren now has a sister team in Connosport, and we know next year BMW and Andretti will work closely together as well.
And one last bit that I have heard: remember Lamborghini's news of leaving Williams and moving into a new team? I'm hearing so Lotus could be in for a buyout from them going into next year.
There is a lot to be answered still going into next year.
Intensity picking up. Albon up to 5th, passing Piastri, and now as we come to lap 28, Jackson to the right side of Felipe Drugovich, the world champion now, will take the 7th position. We're to the back of our teammate, and we're starting to hit that point again in the run where I'm faster than not only Drugovich, but other cars as well, aside from the 2 McLarens, who are just extremely quick right now. And you can see lap 29 putting an immense amount of pressure on the back of our teammate here. This is the opportunity to go for the move. We're going to get that rear wing open. We'll look to the left side here on Felipe. Now he's not going to have much for us on the run down towards turn number 4, and we are slowly but surely closing in on the rest of the cars in front. Verstappen still leads, but the gap continues to close. But now, here we go, trying to follow through on those McLarens. Jackson to P6, Albon to 4th with a 19-point Constructors' advantage. We're fine in 8th and 9th as the way things run currently. As we continue on, you can see Jackson getting aggressive there. He's passing Norris, who tried to fight back there on the DRS straight, and now Jackson to 5th, Albon 4th, looking for 3rd. We're all over the back of Oscar Piastri. A lunge up the inside here, lap 31, and you can see the pace in this car is just immaculate compared to these other cars around us now. And we know those McLarens are going to fade in those closing laps on those softs. Never say never. We might be able to beat the McLarens as well before this race is over. We might even have a chance at a podium here. Now a run on the back of Lando Norris to the right side of the Monster Energy Mercedes down the short chute towards turn number 4. Drugovich in the background trying to stay with us now as he continues to fade in these closing laps. He doesn't have the pace he would like to have here in these final moments of the season in his home Grand Prix. Up to P6 now is a bit of a power slide right there. We save it and continue on 1.3 seconds back, now 1.5 with that slide there to Aiden Jackson, but we continue to immediately reel him back in, but actually we would lose time. 1.8 seconds here, blue flags as lap traffic is starting to play a role. Leclerc is now right to the back of Max Verstappen, but not anymore. Leclerc's gone around and spun himself from 2nd place here. The Circuit of the Americas winner from a few episodes ago, and it was a self-spin. Look in the background here on Verstappen. Leclerc just goes wide, completely loses it. That moves us up another position. Albon to 3rd, Jackson to 4th, us up into P5. We've been on an absolute run in this final run on these medium tires, but we're 1.9 seconds back. Lap traffic playing a role, but Leclerc spinning basically gives Verstappen a perfect opportunity to hang on to this race victory, a storybook ending potentially on the way. The McLarens, their softs starting to fade as they continue to run up on the back of some lap cars as well. They're following George Russell, trying to get through them. Verstappen's coming up on 2 lap cars. He would get past them, and now the McLarens have to deal with them here. 2 laps to go, and Albon goes wide on the back end of, I believe that's an Andretti machine. It is Liam Lawson. Jackson checked up as well. Hello, Aiden Jackson. We're all over the back of the McLaren as we head down towards turn number 4. Lap traffic playing a pivotal role in these closing moments. Everything is perfect to win this Constructors. There is no concern now as Jackson is going to now get caught up behind Tsunoda. Will swing to the left and get past him. Tsunoda checked up right on the nose of Jackson, and Albon got held up as well. Russell up to 2nd place. Verstappen running away, coming to the final lap of the season here in Brazil. He retires at the end of the season. It's been forever since we've seen Verstappen win a Grand Prix in Formula 1. He just returned from injury as well, keep in mind, in these last 2 races of the season. Final lap all over the back of Alex Albon, but not quite close enough to make an extremely aggressive move right there into the braking zone. I go in there aggressive anyways now, but it's Max Verstappen through the final couple of corners. At this point, it's not a storybook ending for Lewis Hamilton, but it's a storybook ending for Max Verstappen. What a roller coaster of a final season, but Max Verstappen is going to come through to win the Brazilian Grand Prix. Ferrari's first win of the season, Russell 2nd, Albon 3rd, 4th place in a Constructors' Championship for Red Bull Ford.
Wow, there it is, mate. The checkered flag, and the checkered flag on the season as well. And what a season it's been. We've had our ups and downs, but you know what? I've really enjoyed working with you, and I hope we can do it again. Nice one, mate. See you back at the pits.
That's it then, they've taken the win here as we wrap up another fantastic Formula 1 season.
I think the only better ending we could have had is Hamilton as well on the podium there. It wasn't meant to be for Lewis. He had a rough day, of course had a grid penalty, but I mean, we were able to move forward. He wasn't. Really unfortunate there for Lewis. Albon on the podium in his final race for McLaren. As we know, he will be headed to Ferrari next season in that car that just won. So has Albon maybe made the right move? I don't know. I still think it's a really questionable move. I don't think he even has the capabilities to turn that Ferrari team around. Albon, you know, the previous 2 seasons coming into this one was unbelievably dominant, won so many races. He fell off hard in the final half season last season, but still had such a margin to hang on to the championship. This season had so many ups and downs, was never a threat for the championship. Of course, won a few races, but he just hasn't been on that level that we were used to in the previous 2. And Aiden Jackson, of course, turned it up this season. We had our moments. We came on strong at the end again after some previous mechanical issues and some struggles in races as well, but it wasn't quite enough. 4th place for us, though, today in a Constructors' Championship. Now, Hamilton does end up inside the top 10. Connor Sport there, 11th and 12th. Yuri Vips there, P13, and his teammate of Marino Sato there for Lotus in that 14th position. Now, as we'll take a look at the final standings there, we end up losing by 34 at 2nd and 3rd for Red Bull. And you see, I mean, the rest of the standings, there's only one team that didn't score points this season. It's BMW. We know they're expanding next season to as well Power Andretti, which was actually the 2nd worst team. So the 2 worst teams this season combine next season to work together. As we know, Fernando Alonso as well become the team principal of the Andretti team, as BMW's kind of lending him out to try and hopefully push them forward as well as bring themselves forward. It's going to be really interesting to watch that dynamic to see if it fails or succeeds, as next season, it's going to be crazy. There's a lot of changes on the way, and we'll go over them all in this season, off-season video. I won't spoil where preseason testing is, but I will say it's where the season opener is as well. So, a lot to look forward to next episode, as you see the finishes there for a lot of the drivers. Our driver stats here to end the season as well. I'll see you guys in the next season, the final season of the F1 23 driver career mode. It's hard to believe we made it to that point already. It's going to be an exciting one. I will look forward to seeing you guys then, but first, the off-season video. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.